Hello and welcome to the Behind the Fender podcast by the Short Map Players Tour. My name's Mitch Young. I'm one of the newly appointed SMPT directors. If you've not heard of the Short Map Players Tour, we are a short map bowls company who organise and run short map bowls events across the UK and Europe to promote the game of short map bowls. All our events are open to anyone to play in, and for more information, head over to our website, shortmapplayerstour.com. Hello and welcome to Behind the Fender podcast for our fifth episode. And I'm joined by our panel of Craig Burgess and Simon Pridham. How are you both?
Yeah, all good, Mitchell. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, hi Mitchell. All good, thank you, mate.
Also, we've got a special guest on this episode, introducing our current England assistant manager and SMPT regular, James Trott.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, I didn't want to reel off all of his accolades because we'd never get through the episode. It'd be
You never get finished. No.
So we've got loads to catch up on, so let's get to it. British Open saw Matty Walden win his first SMPT singles over Michael Dorey in York, and Nigel Nicholls and Don McNamara picked up bronze medals respectively, so let's reflect on that. I mean, Matty played excellent all weekend. There was some really good games, and he just got over the line.
Yeah, great tournament, wasn't it? Always love going to York. We got some really good bowling there. Matty played really well, actually, as you said, all weekend. Deserved winner, and there were some good games that weekend, actually. And we got a few on the stream as well, so always worth a look back. But yeah, another good event.
From my point of view, I think Matty is one of the best young players England have got. He's 23 years old. He practices hard. He thinks about the game. I think he's as close to someone like Alex Clay as there is as a singles player in England. So he's going to be here for quite a while yet.
Good to see a slightly different variety. I mean, these are players that are always there or thereabouts, but Don McNamara's played on the tour for a long while, and picking up a bronze medal. You got Nigel won it in a few years back and picking up a bronze medal. So as players sort of in and around the latter stages, but just getting through those extra few rounds as well, finishing in the middle spots.
Yeah, Nigel's done quite well there, hasn't he? Like you say, I think he won our first event there I think if memory serves, and now a bronze medal. So a venue he seems to quite like. Matty's got an interesting style. Tends to suit perhaps a bit more mat on mat. I've not really seen him play that much on a hard floor venue, but he's got that very upright, almost crown green style, as I call it. But it works really well for him, doesn't it?
I think he's got a very repeatable action. I think that's his delivery. It suits his game, and he never ever change it. When he bowls a bad bowl, he's only fractions off. You see so many players, they bowl after bowl, and it looks like a different player every time. So that's the secret, really.
And let's hear from the man himself, our British Open champion, Matty Walden. I'm joined by our 2024 SMPT British Open champion, Matty Walden. First off, mate, how does it feel to win your first SMPT singles title?
Yeah, it's a brilliant feeling. I mean, the weekends as they are they're brilliant, and it's a great weekend. But to get that win on top of that as well, it's just amazing, really.
And let's have a look at your run. I mean, you had a tough few games in the knockouts. You had to get past Andy Riley, Joel Hager, Marty McNichol, Andrew Jones, Nigel Nicholls, and then Michael Dorey in the final. Which one of those was the toughest one for you?
I think the toughest one it's got to be against Marty, to be honest. It was the closest one. I think it finished 8-all, and then it had to go to a tiebreak. On the last end, actually, I was one in front. I ditched it, and I ditched it well as well. It was a foot to the side in the ditch, and he mustn't have had any more than an inch to draw in, and he's played the perfect bowl to take it to a tiebreak, and I've just managed to get over the line in the end.
And just following on in the tie breaks, how do you find our tie breaks? Are they a little different to other?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's something different, and it's not something you see all the time. I think if you were to introduce something like that in other competitions, it'd just make it better. So, like the St George's Cup over the weekend, I was on about it going to a playoff at the end if it was a draw. I just think it just adds an extra element into the game that makes it more exciting.
Yeah, and let's talk about that final against Michael. Now, I found it was, I was mocking that game and started off a little cagey, I thought, for the first few ends between both of you, and then you got into your rhythm and started to pull away. What was sort of going through your mind in the early stages of that final?
I think at the start of the game, there was obviously a little bit of nerves, and the mat's not the easiest mat to play either, the show mat. It pegs on one side and it kind of holds on the other. So for the first few ends, you're sort of getting used to the mat again, because it wasn't until it was the day before that I played it first, and I wasn't on it again until the final. So there was an element of sort of nerves to start off with, and there was actually a point in the game, I think it was 5-2 down, and I was 3 down on the mat as well with one bowl left. And you can see if you watch it back on my face, as I send the bowl, I thought, oh no, I've missed this now, it's going to get wrecked on the first bowl. But luckily I just get enough of it, make 2, and I get the 4 the next end. So I think it was pretty much needed to stay in the game and then kick on from there.
Yeah, and you seem to grow in confidence as well following that end to really then kick on and just then start winning end after end and put Michael under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think as soon as I've got a couple of shot cushion, I just seem to gain that bit of confidence and kick on from there, and you can sort of take a couple of more risks rather than if you were a couple behind or level. So you can afford to sort of play those couple of risks that you might not be able to otherwise.
Yeah, and let's go on to like last year when you were playing in the British Open a year before, where you got a bronze medal in that. Your tactics in that were different, very aggressive game. And why the change this time around and different style?
Well, to put it simply, it was just a change of bowls. It was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago now. I had a year out, and I sold all the bowls that I had, apart from one set, which were, I think, they're 60 years old. They're size 5 Henselites, and that's what I used in York last year as I was coming back from a year out. And those bowls, they were just easier to play with weight than it was to draw, because to draw it, you're sort of aiming edge of the mat and trying to play those kind of delicate shots where it's like a foot over. It's just so hard to find that line consistently. It was just easier to send it down the mat, literally just chuck it down half mat. And because they're size 5 as well, they're that big, they're quite a wide bowl as well, that you can't miss. It was almost easier to play that shot than it was to draw. And obviously the change of bowls made it easier to play the draw shots in addition to with weight. So it's more of an all-rounded bowl, and that's the reason for the change of tactics, really.
And was that just because that was the bowl you felt more comfortable with when you've changed your bowls to those green ones?
Yeah, so with the Henselites, I felt there was only so much I could do with them. The majority of the shots that you tend to play are, the drawing shots or a couple of foot over, and they were just too difficult to play with. So something that was a little bit more straight, it just felt more comfortable to play with, and you could play a wider range of shots.
And let's take a look at the event as a whole. What do you think it takes to win an event over 2 days and an SMPT title?
I mean, they're long days as they are, and you need to be good enough in terms of ability to play the shots. But I think a big part that a lot of people don't see is the shot selection and sort of maintaining that mentality all the way through both days to make sure that you play the right shots and you don't waste any bowls when you don't need to. it's a side of the game that a lot of people, in my opinion, don't see, or they could benefit from. I think there's a lot of players that are good enough to win these games and win competitions, but they're just not playing the right shots. I think that's something that could be worked on by a lot of people.
And how different? Obviously, it's a different format, but how different do you find winning your previous SMPT title, the fours, back in 2019, to this one?
In 2019, winning the fours, that was a brilliant feeling, getting the first one under the belt. But winning a singles title, it's a little bit more special because you've got no one to help you out. You're winning it on your own. Like I said earlier, the mentality, you've only got yourself to keep that up. If you play a bad bowl or you end up going a few behinds in the fours, you've got other people to lift you up and keep you going. But in the singles, it's only down to you. So to be able to keep that mentality and not lose your head playing bowls over 2 days on your own, it just makes it more special.
And what's been your favourite SMPT event that you've played in so far?
I couldn't really pick one, to be honest. I think all of the competitions that I've played in, they're just great weekends. And obviously the one that I won, well, the fours and the singles, it's obviously nice to win, but I couldn't really pick one that's better than any other one. They're both, all the competitions are great weekends.
And what is your favourite thing about an SMPT event?
I think it's just brilliantly organised. You can't fault anything about the competition from start to finish. It's just so professional, and I'd recommend it to anyone that plays the game.
Now let's talk about whether you love practice or not. I always seem to see you practicing a lot, and you have historically. Why do you enjoy it, or what is it about practicing that you like to do in between games, before or after, or pre-tournament and during?
Yeah, there's a few reasons for this actually. First of all, I just love the game. I love playing bowls. So any kind of opportunity where I can practice, I will. Whether that's on the mat or whether it's at home on the landing, going into my bedroom, I'll play there. And it sounds daft, but even in a hotel room, I'll get my bowls out and start playing on the floor. I just absolutely love the game. And I think when you practice on your own, you can just practice that consistency of playing certain shots that you might not be able to play in all your games. If you've got a jack that's right over the edge of the mat, you can practice coming right across from the other side. And there's only so many opportunities we can play those shots. To be able to practice on your own, you can almost get a buzz out of playing those shots how you would expect them to, or how you would want to play them. And yeah, it's just enjoyable.
And following on from that, what do you think is the hardest shot to play, and why?
I think for me, it's got to be a backhand runner, because of the way that I send a bowl. I step into the delivery, trying to play with weight on the backhand. You've got to watch where your feet are. You've got to make sure you don't foot fault, and it's getting tight to the wood as well because you're stepping into the delivery. So there's a couple of ways around it. You can either, or what I do is put my other foot forward and sort of do that awkward backhand shot that you might see me play sometimes, or you can sort of time the bowl to allow that little bit of peg. And yeah, it is difficult, but it's one that I do enjoy playing, so it's not too bad.
And looking ahead, will you be looking to enter in more SMPT events in the future?
Absolutely, yeah. I'd love to play in all of them, but there's only so much that I can do. I've got a daughter that turns 2 in June now, so it's there's not a massive amount of time on my hands. And the fact that I play crown green bowls as well, you've got the season in the summer, and then there's just too much bowls to fit in but you will see me at more events in the future, that's for sure.
Good stuff. And just on that, where you mentioned Crown Green, what's your preferred format? If I had to press you,
That is a good question. I like them both. If I had the choice of playing through the winter, short mat or Crown Green outside when it's freezing cold and wet, then there's one obvious answer. But in the summer, when you get your fast greens and it's lovely weather, you could almost say that Crown is the obvious choice. But I think if you're comparing the two, I almost prefer short mat, and I think I'm a little bit better at short mat than I am Crown. So yeah, I'd have to say short mat on that one.
which do you think's the most technical or skillful out of the two?
I think skillful, you've got to say Crown because of how the different shots that there are. You've got, the greens, you can have greens that are small and quick and relatively flat, and you could have greens that you've really got to get your arm back and you can't send a bowl off, they're that heavy. There's just so much variety in Crown Green in comparison to short mat. I know obviously you can get different mats, but when you look at sort of mat on mat, they're all pretty much the same. You're always playing the same kind of shots. So it's just more consistent. But then you've got the tactical side of it, which is heavily more towards short mat than it is Crown. There's only 2 bowls in Crown, and because short mat is a little bit easier to play, in my opinion, there's a lot more tactics involved from the first bowl to the last.
Good stuff. And moving on to what's upcoming for you. You got the World Championships coming up this weekend, and good luck for that. But do you feel any sort of expectation or pressure going into that at all?
I can't wait, to be honest. I've been waiting for this weekend since I qualified last year, and I think the standards and the expectation that I put on myself, it's the highest it can be. So not only do I want to win it, but I believe that I can. And yeah, obviously it's the best players in the world, and I'm going to be up against it, but I cannot wait to play in it, and I want to bring it home.
I wish you the best of luck, Matty, and wish you the best of luck in the Worlds coming up over in Ireland, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Perfect, thank you.
So just following off the back of his interview, he was one of the guys who I've never seen sort of practice as in throughout the day when not playing, because it's just constantly playing and enjoying just the love of the game, isn't it?
I think he likes to do his family proud. He's a young dad. His granddad was there at the weekend with the Worlds, watching every single game with him, and he just wants to do the best for him. Every victory he celebrated, and I know it was heartbreaking at the weekend, really tearful moments, but he's doing it for the right reasons, and that's what's driving him onwards to do well.
You also mentioned how he loves to even just practice in hotel rooms, practice in corridors, and I'm sure a lot of us have done that in the past.
Yeah, many a time.
Yeah, the Milton Keynes Classic, I think it was.
Using a cup as a block.
And moving back down to Chelmsford for the English Masters, where Mark Beattie won his 7th SMPT singles title and back-to-back English Masters titles, beating Marty McNichol in the final, his first final as well, in the SMPT, and Jonas Hager and Alex Clay taking bronze. Mark just seems to love the English Masters, it seems. He just and winning SMPT titles as well, because really managed one, but just another professional performance over the weekend.
He done me in the quarterfinals, I remember. incredibly good game. It's really annoying when you play really well and lose, but then when you lose to someone who's just playing a little bit better, you don't mind too much. I think he ran a jack in last end to win it, absolutely clean. He just turn around and shake your hand and say, "Well, yeah, well played," because the man just doesn't seem to know how to not lose an end. He just plays the right shot at the right time and normally gets it. So he's so hard to beat.
I wouldn't know what it's like in a main draw, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're not talking about the plate, so
Yeah, then I had to play Garrick and Nav in the plate. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Surprising that, yeah, he still went on to go and win. So
Yeah.
when it comes to knockout bowls, these Irish guys don't give you an opportunity, do they?
No, I certainly don't.
Yeah, Mark showing his class again. Seventh title. I mean, it's when we started this out, we never thought we'd get players winning this amount of titles. I mean, we've got Gary, Joe, and Mark now all having won, multiple titles, and back-to-back wins in events. I mean, Mark certainly loves Chelmsford. I think there's no doubt there. But and give credit to Marty for making the final as well. His first appearance, he beat Alex in the semi-final, and the way Alex played against me in the quarter-final, I thought, well, it's almost nailed on for an Alex-Mark final. When the draw sort of came out for the semi-finals, but no, Marty must have pulled some good stuff out there to beat Alex. So no, fair play to Mark again. It's a unbelievable achievement to win 7.
And I think when we certainly got to the last 16, probably even like pretty much any one of them could have won it, because the names that are in that last 16 was a very, very strong field, or even before that, even it was a really strong field going into that tournament. I mean, it was going to be of one of the highest qualities we've had, certainly in the UK events, and it certainly proved that with the fields. And yeah, like Marty getting to his first final, play well, got his revenge over Matty in there. I think that's in the last 16 from York. So there was a lot of individual battles within that weekend. But yeah, Jonas as well was making his presence felt there. He played really well in it. I think it was the quarters against Alistair, and beat him in that. And so yeah, it was another very good event.
Yeah, you mentioned those individual battles. I don't know, probably one more for you, Trot. The years that you've played on the tour, do you tend to, have you found that sort of almost a pattern sometimes, that you end up playing against somebody a few times over a course of a season or over a few seasons, and you sort of, you're remembering back, oh, I haven't lost to that person, or that person beat me last time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've probably got some really good records against some really good players. I don't think I've ever lost to Jonathan Payne. Don't think I've ever lost to Peter Roberts. Yeah, both quality players. But I'm not sure I've ever beaten Mark Beattie, and probably only beaten Joe Beattie a handful of times. So you do run into those players. The further you go, you tend to meet those players more often. You don't want to meet them in the group for sure, because you end up playing Simon Pridham in the plate.
Every time. I'll wait for you, mate. No problem. When you slip up, I'll be there.
I mean, it'll be the Shield in Belfast, but there we go.
Hey, steady. Last 16 last year. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah.
I was just taking a look at the stats of both Mark and Matty, and Matty I know he's played 50 matches, 82 win percentage, which is extremely good even at 50 matches. And he's played even more year on year. This season, 18 matches, lost 1, which is a pretty good record. And then Mark has nearly got the same percentage, 79%, played over 400 matches.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
It's pretty unbelievable. So we'll continue on. We had our first singles event entries open for next season, the UK Open. That sold out within minutes. So if it wasn't fastest finger first, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you didn't unfortunately get in because it went like wildfire. I think that's unsure if that's a record, but it's very, very close. Went very, very quickly. With over 150 spots going within, I think it's about 12, 13 minutes.
12
like
minutes, yeah.
So it was incredible. But if you do want to be added to the reserve list, then do get in contact with us via email or via our socials, and we can add you to that in case of any dropouts in that. And there's also still spots for our charity open pairs in June at Falcon, 2 individual open pairs competitions for 2 great charities. And for more information, you can visit our website with all the details and entry information if you want to take a look at that and enter into those. Also, just a reminder, our second singles ranking event for next season is the Irish Open in Belfast on the 14th and 15th of September 2024, and entries open on Monday the 1st of April at 7 p.m. GMT time. So spaces will go quick, so please do keep that in mind to avoid disappointment. Because if anything's to go by what happened in the last entries going live, they will go quick. So set your alarm, James. So let's look ahead to the World Masters in Belfast. That's our last singles ranking event, and where all the players will battle it out to try and get as many ranking points as they possibly can, and try and take home the trophy with the Order of Merit still up for grabs.
Come on, Peter Roberts.
Which Craig currently leads. And also decided the World Cup spots for the World Cup in August, which kicks off next season. Now, there's still a lot to play for. I was having a look at the English race to the World Cup and the Irish one, which those both catch my eye, where there's still a lot of players that could, there's going to be a lot of, dependent on results that happen in Belfast, will make the difference, Alex, yourself, Trot, you're trying to hunt down, unfortunately that person is Nigel. Yeah, it's Ed Sawbridge as well. Nigel. Yeah. Hunting down Nigel in 4th at the moment, and Andrew Shawnee in 3rd. I mean, really, they could all change me, really. But yeah, it all goes down to the wire, as it does in this last event. That's why there's so much to play for. There's so much different combinations and results that can happen. I think that's why it makes this one of the biggest fields, the best one, and the great event to end on.
I think the draw's got a big factor to play in Belfast, because you tend to attract a lot of very, very good Irish players and Welsh players and Scottish players, and you could end up in a group of death. Great to play in, but you could certainly be in the bottom competition and move up and down those rankings in no time at all. So it's going to be an interesting weekend.
I know I had the situation last year where I think I was second in the England race for the World Cup, and I ended up in the plate and I had to try and just maximise the points that I could get and get into the plate final. So it's you are thinking, certainly at this point now, you're definitely thinking about the World Cup spots and that's where you're going to finish. And as you say, looking at those in the hunt there's a lot. You'd probably say Alex or even Steve. I guess Steve upwards. You've got a chance, but it is all on that draw. It is definitely all in that draw. It's almost like you want a group with you all in the one group, so you can try and knock the other players out of the tournament. But no, it's good. I mean, again, looking at that's why we introduced the World Cup and the way that we do it as well. People are looking at that and trying to improve. I know Andrew Shawnee, he would be over the moon if he got into the World Cup. It's been his aspiration. I know, speaking to him over the last few seasons where he's missed out, a couple of times, I think, getting in there. So it's, and I know, having played in it, this season, it definitely brings a different dynamic to it. And you've played in the World Cup loads of times now. It is a different when you're playing as a team like that, or are you still playing singles? It does add a different dimension to it.
It's a very unique competition. It's a 4-man singles, but you do play as a team. It's great to play. I think I played in 4 or 5. Famously, didn't win one when I had last bowl. But
I wasn't gonna mention that.
But it does give people something else to aim for in the season, and the top boys will be Gary and Joe and Mark. They'll be chasing titles. The rest of us are just looking for those spots as well, and everybody else. So Simon, I think you're probably in the rest of the world team.
Yeah, I'm scraped into second spot in there at the moment, behind the mighty Gale Force, Stephen from the Isle of Man. Again, I don't know that it's one I'll be able to attend because of my work commitments here in Cyprus, but I'll have to. I couldn't make it last year, which I was a bit disappointed about, but that's just how it is. I'll have to see how it goes, but I'd love to be able to play in one. As you say, unique tournament. It's something that a lot of players would like to play, and I think it's worth mentioning Andrew Shawnee. Actually, he's had a really good season. I think he's made the cup in the majority of the tournaments he's played in, and is actually playing really good stuff. So he's done well to get into third at the moment. So I wish him all the best actually for that weekend, and it'd be great to see him in there. Actually,
It also goes to show now that to get into the World Cup is about consistency in all the events, not necessarily. You can win one of the events, that isn't necessarily going to get you in the World Cup. I mean, that's been proven by some of these. If you look at some of the other, I mean, even if we take a look at Ireland right now, Don McNamara is in first, Nathan Hare 2, Mark Beattie 3, fourth Paul Cairnduff, fifth Gary McNabb, sixth Joseph Beattie. Now you don't really want them two hunting you down if you're in the Irish side going into this last event, but they're also in danger of not making the squad, which is a surprise to them all. I know I think they both missed an event.
Gary missed playing in York, and may even missed playing in Norway, potentially. I think so. There's 2 events that Gary's missed, and he's still in with a hunt to get in. So I mean, that's quite rare. I think definitely you wouldn't be able to do that from an England perspective. Looking at the points on offer there, if you miss an event, you pretty much rules. I mean, Alex has missed one, I think. You've missed one as well, I think, haven't you? So
I didn't go to Norway, so it's
So you've got a shout, but
80 points. Yeah,
but it's probably almost made it from being up in the top 4 to being just outside it, and having to do something in Belfast, which is not the tournament you want to put some pressure on yourself. Well, Gary's going to be up for trying to do what Alex did last year, and winning the World Singles, and then trying to win the World Masters. That would be
maybe
some achievement.
And maybe defending the pairs as well on the Friday.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I think that's the other one as well. The sort of, not the one we forget, but the one that it's a great little warm up the pairs beforehand. Me and Craig, we had quite a good run last year in that. There were, it just really does set you up well going into the weekend. Just settles you down. It's a good, very much like our other team events. So the other pairs we have, and the fours, where you just chilled and everyone enjoys themselves, and still very, very good matches in that.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I think that's another plus point for the World Cup. Actually, that I felt, having played the World Cup on the Friday, I felt I hit the ground running at the UK Open. So the players that may just miss out, they're just missing out on that sort of game experience on the Friday. That because of summer, it's not as competitive over the summer months. So it is nice to have that day. And the same in Belfast. It's nice to have the pairs on the Friday, just to get you used to the mats. The mats are a little bit pushier than what we're probably used to from an England standpoint, but it is nice to have that, and easily to be overlooked from that event.
and the draw for that will be out soon for both the Belfast pairs and Welsh Masters. So do keep an eye on that on our socials and website, and that will be out soon, hopefully in the coming weeks prior to the event. And you can keep all up to date with all of the action on our website with our live blog and live streaming we'll be doing throughout the weekend on our Facebook page. And don't forget, we have uploaded all of our YouTube videos now. With all of the archived videos are now uploaded, so you can take a look at that. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Short Map Players Tour, and so you can get notified of any of our new videos we upload and take a look at all of them from over the years. And moving on, we mentioned it, we've touched on it a little bit, but let's talk about it a little bit more depth. The World Championships just took place in Belfast as well. At the weekend, James, will go to you first as assistant England manager, which is quite a successful one for England.
Yeah, it was fantastic from our point of view. 7 of our 8 teams got to the semi-finals, 5 through to the final. So we had a guaranteed winner in the pairs. So Ryan and Saul, yeah, they were superb all weekend. Absolutely brilliant, beating Chris and Jason in the final there. The triples of Adam, AJ and Jack Pye, I mean, they went unbeaten, which is some performance over 3 days. And they beat a very, very good Irish triple in the final with Paul Duff's team. It was quite unusual to see, a triple playing 2s up. It was quite alien to any English player. The 4s, I mean, the Welsh 4 that won it, they were superb all weekend, beating our English 4 in the final. But the singles was a fantastic competition. Both groups were up for grabs. I mean, Matty hit the ground running on the Friday. I mean, he was playing some just unbelievable stuff. It just looked like he was the firm favourite. He beat Gary on the Saturday, beat him quite comfortably. But his form just dipped a little bit. Alex lost a game, so he had to keep winning. These guys played about 10 games over 3 days. 10 really, really hard games. Sean Hughes sneaked through just past Seba Lores in the semi-finals, or to get to the semi-finals. I mean, and the semi-finals themselves were, some of the best games you ever see, really. I mean, Gary McNabb, he said to me afterwards, just 2 of the hardest games I've ever played, to beat Alex and then to beat Matty in the final. Hats off to him. He was on it. It was, heartbreaking to see Matty lose. I was in tears, obviously, quite emotional. But hats off to him. It was absolutely superb. We had to play by Irish rules, which we sort of learnt the rules on the Friday morning. But I think that fell into the English hands a little bit because they just drew the jack. Attacked when they could. And I think that probably didn't work well for some of the weaker players in the teams in the tournament, because it meant that it was quite easy for the top players to really chase shots by just packing the head, picking up many 3s and 4s, and you saw some massive scores really get rattling down. Several scores in the 30s, which I've been playing for years and years. You don't get 30 very often.
You shouldn't be getting that at the World Championships, really. That's the
no. But some of those players, they're there just representing their sort of nation because they've always done it. They're not there to try and win it. So it's very difficult when you've got someone who's really trying to be world champion, and then someone who's just there because they're carrying the blazer or whatever it is. So fun on and off the mat, as it normally is at these Worlds. But it is really, really hard, I think, to win these tournaments. England point of view, Yeah, really well. Take home 2 trophies and a team event trophy. Happy with that. And all of the winners fully deserved. You know, Gary, the pairs, Adam and the trips, and the Welsh 4. Probably the best players on the Sunday, particularly, and probably over the course of 3 days. You've got to be consistent over a long period of time. Like I say, Gary McNabb is the expert of playing well on a Sunday, isn't he? We've seen it in SMPT, does it in Ireland, and yeah, I saw how much it meant to him. Yeah, he's been on the back of being beaten by Alex a couple of times here and there, and but he's won the one that counts, you know. And absolutely superb, really.
Okay, it is a different tournament. Obviously, it's a bigger group. The format, we could be here till forever talking about the format of the Worlds, but as you say, you know, at the end you have got to beat the players in front of you, and you have got some easier games, and you have got some very difficult games. I think I haven't played in the Worlds since it's been 2 go through from the group. It was always 1 back in the day, which was, you know, arguably even harder. I mean, on 2 occasions I've always played in the 4s, but hadn't got through, having lost just 1 game in the group and went on shot difference. So it's I think now with the 2 going through, it's definitely improved that situation, having semi-finals. But yeah, it's definitely from somebody who's not there and seeing it, there's definitely better coverage this weekend than there ever has been. That's not to say that there's room for improvement. There always is room for improvement, and that goes with any event. I was interested to see Glenn Harvey's post on the with regards to sort of his perception and feedback on the event. And I hope the people that do run these events don't take it as a negative or having a pop about, you know, the event. It is about how, as a sport, we need to be better at promoting and moving forward. And, you know, the World Championship should be the showcase for our sport, and, you know, we want it to be that. I think everyone wants it to be that, and I think that's where, you know, the criticism, or albeit, you know, constructive criticism, comes from. You know, we always try and think about what we can do about our events, and we'll probably touch upon our Champion of Champions that we're looking to run next season as well, where we're very hopeful that we're going to get some good streaming for that one. And all the top players and the players that will be mentioned in one events will be taking part. So it is about just now where we are and getting the sport more recognised, and the World Championships, you know, is the one that does. You know, people do want to win it, and I get that, I understand that. I think we've all of us on this call, we've been fortunate enough to get over the line in a World, so it is nice to win one. But it's it doesn't seem to have made a massive leap from when we were probably playing in it, Simon. You know, back in you know, the early 2000s onwards.
Mm-hmm. I think it was. I'd like to have a quick shout out, really. I watched a lot of the streaming. It was good, as you said. That was improved, and it was. I know all the associations were doing their best to show as many games as they could, and that was really good, because it is good to watch these events. And the Facebook page for the World Short Map Bowls was updated regularly with the results, so that was good. So yeah, it was an improvement there. But I think a good shout out to Andrew Hudson and Jonathan Gladstone, who were going for their third pairs title in a row, weren't they? And they lost out in the semis, I think. I don't know if they lost. Did they lose to Ryan Saul?
They lost to Saul, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, what an effort that is to try and win 3 in a row. That's pretty good. So yeah, well done to those Welsh boys. Very good. And as you say, their 4s look very good. I did see a bit of their match, and yeah. Mikey John playing in that team. Obviously lost in the singles last year, but yeah, some really good performances all round. Really, really good.
I think if you look down the list in some of the groups, I was speaking to the Canadian player, Kerry Lucier, who, you know, he got beaten by Alex and a few of the top players there, but he looked like he could bowl. And then when speaking to him, he said he'd spent 120 hours watching the YouTube videos of SMPT. So he knew players who they were. He walked in, he went, "Yep, you're Alex, you're Matty, you're James," and he was then analysing the games and sort of timing how long it took for the jack to get, the wood to get to the other end, saying, "Oh, that was 8.5 seconds," and then setting that up at home so he could practice, and simulate being in Ireland, and then practicing that for a couple of hours a day. So, I mean, that is a massive commitment. I mean, he's an outdoor bowler who's done the work to sort of try and compete at the Short Mat World Championships. So, I mean, hats off to him. I mean, his master plan got thrown out a little bit because he spent a few hours or few weeks actually perfecting running the jack in first bowl, only to be told he couldn't do it on the day. So he had to come up with a plan B. But also, I think the Canadian Championships in 4 years' time, it sounds like the venue is absolutely stunning. It's a sort of purpose-built sports complex. So that sounds like it's going to be awesome. And obviously, the next one in Norway, we know Norway from SMPT, and I'm sure they'll do things their way, differently to everybody else. Hard floor.
Yes.
Mm.
So very much a different tournament altogether there.
Or as we've seen in previous worlds, where we've had Belgium and Sweden, and you tend to get those that are used to playing on the hard floors doing well, as you would expect. It won't be easy for anyone going over to Norway and playing on those mats there. Although personally I love those mats, I can see why people don't. So it will be different. I mean, a big shout out to I know Sol, having played with Sol Featherstone in the St George's Cup last year, and I said to him at the time, I said, just keep doing what you're doing, because he was leading so well then, and obviously him and Ryan together, that's a very good pairing, and to win what they've won in the last year or so. So that's some good performances there. Adam Smith, obviously, another world title for him. Fantastic stuff. And as you say, the pairs, the Welsh boys there for going for 3 in a row. Pairs is probably the hardest discipline to be consistent, I think, in, and to get to win 2 worlds back to back, and then to just miss out on the last end to get to your 3rd final in a row. That does take some doing. So big shout. I'm trying to get those boys to play in the World Pairs Masters. I would love them to come and give that one a go for sure.
And for more information about our events, do check out our website, www.shortmatplayerstour.com, and you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and now TikTok. And I suppose before we go, guys, what are your sort of ambitions going into the last event?
That's a good question, isn't it? I think. Well, for me personally, I was very disappointed in my performance at the English Masters. Just was not consistent at all on the Saturday. Played a bit better on the Sunday, and then as soon as the knockout started, I was playing well. I really enjoyed my game against Gary in the on the show mat for the plate, and he beat me by 2, I think it was, but took him to the last bowl, so I was happy with that. So I just want to be able to just increase my performance a bit on that. I don't think I'll be able to top making the last 16 like I did last year, but just to make the cup, really. As you say, a lot depends on the draw, doesn't it, who you get? But yeah, just a bit of consistency for me, really, from probably what was my worst event, and see if I can just turn it around again.
Yeah, I think for me, the pairs will be quite nice. I'm playing with a new player now, so that'll be a bit of fun. I think with the singles, I think you can never go in and saying, I want to win it or I want to have a good run. I think because there's so many good players, I think you just want to play well and hope that you perhaps have some good matches. And just see what happens, really. So, World Cup team is on the back of it. I've played in a few, so happy if Andrew Shawnee gets in and tries to carry Craig Burgess.
He'll need a strong back.
I think I'd like to go at least one round further than Peter Roberts. Would probably be my in a completely crazy if I can go 4 rounds more than Peter Roberts, that would be I think I'll be 39 points behind Peter in the world rankings. So yeah, I mean anything can happen in Belfast. Making the World Cup team has always been what I'd want. Start of the season. That's my aim. It was my aim last season to do that. So hopefully I got a bit more breathing space this time than I did this time last year. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. I had a good run in the plate last year and on the Sunday, playing well on the Sunday, having not played so well on the Saturday. So hopefully, just play well. And I think it's a try. So you just got to try and play well over there and give yourself the best chance to get through. There's so many good players. I was just looking through the list of players. Players we've not mentioned, like Raymond Stubbs. It's just so many good players. It's almost a who's who of short mat, really. So yeah, let's see what happens. But yeah, that would be my aim, to make sure I just cement my place in the World Cup team, which hopefully I've got enough breathing space for that. But with one eye on the world rankings, and if I could top the order of merit, that will be icing on the cake.
It's going to be a great finale to another successful season. And thanks very much, all you guys, for joining us. Safe journey to all of our players that will be making their way over next month. And yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for joining us again.
Thanks, Mitch.
No worries.
Thank you.
And if anyone's got any questions or anything they want us to discuss, do let us know, and we'll pick up on the next one. We'll do one after the World Masters and over the summer months to keep you occupied. See you later. So thanks very much for joining, and don't forget to check out our website for more information, www.shortmatplayerstour.com. And we'll see you again on the next episode of Behind the Fender podcast by the Short Mat Players Tour. And don't forget to check out our website, shortmatplayerstour.com. If you have enjoyed the podcast, then please do like, subscribe and share so we can spread the word about the tour and short mat bowls. And if you want to follow us for all the latest information, then you can find us on Facebook, Twitter at Short Mat Players, Instagram Short Mat Players Tour, and now on TikTok at Short Mat Players Tour. If you're interested in getting a new shirt to play in our events, or a hoodie or fleece, then head over to bowlstrader.co.uk and type in SMPT into the product search to view our range for available clothing.